see it.
Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show.
It's the Charlie Bahama Show. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Charlie Bahama Show. And this is going to be exciting because today it's all about sports. And as you can see, I'm wearing my sports jacket. I used to be a swimmer in the Bahamas, and this is actually the same jacket I wore when I was 13. Can you imagine? I still fit into it, keeping myself in shape. But today, we're going to talk to the boys from the locker room. That's right, Marcellus Hall and Tommy Stubbs are going to talk sports, Bahamian sports stars, and what's happening all around the world in sports. And oh, thank you, Carson.
David.
Carson, thank you so much. I hope this is an energy drink for sports. So you guys, come on back, the Charlie Bahama Show. Sports! The Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show, and now we have two old friends, Marcellus Hall. I get you, sportscaster, extraordinaire from way back. From one station network to the other, and then my old buddy Tommy Stubbs, who I didn't even know he could play or do anything in sports, man. So Tommy, you just watch it, eh?
No, Charlie. The thing is, I'm versatile, man. You know that. I tried not to, let's say, brag about my performance on the softball, baseball field. Those are my two favorite sports. I also played some basketball in high school. You know, I'm a CC Sweden standout. You know.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm Big Red Machine now.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You guys double teaming me?
Good people always come from out of the Big Red Machine, my friend.
Boy, and you see, look, because of sports, the sports fanatics, I said, let me dye. My daughter dyed my hair. She said, man, you got to dye your hair blue for the Bahamas, you know?
You're going full patriotic. Full patriotic.
You know, the little hair that I got left, I dyed it blue, you know? But man, look here, let's get into sports, because I told at the beginning of my show, my intro, I said, sports. So the locker room, tell me how this came about.
You go, Marcellus.
Wow. Well, you know, it's funny. Tommy and I had been kind of going back and forth about doing a show for a while. For a while. But he kept after me, and eventually I wore down, and I said, you know what, let's roll with it and let's see what we can get going. And that's how this whole concept came about. And you know, the rest is kind of history.
I'll tell you, I saw this show, and what I love about this show is it opened me up to Bahamians that I did not even know that were doing sports over here in the U.S. Like I was telling you, I'm between Miami and the Bahamas, back and forth all the time. And right now with the Charlie Bahama Show, we're in my Airstream. You were asking me what I'm in, Tommy. I'm in an Airstream, an antique, a vintage Airstream all around. But I did not know we had a Bahamian on the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your show just opened me up to so much, to see. And that's a question I'll ask you all later so you could think about it too, is about all the great Bahamians, all the way back from Andre Rogers' days and all those fantastic great Bahamians up to now that are still doing it. So we'll talk about that. So Tommy, how is it, before we go to our first break and then clips, how is it working on the locker room as a sports enthusiast?
Well, I never thought that I would be on television, number one, because I'm usually behind the scenes, Charlie, starting way back from the Bahamas Bridal Show, which I started in 1990. Not many people even are aware of who I am and what I look like.
Hey, before you go on, before you go on, my first tuxedo.
I will tell him. The thing is, I met Charlie when we had an audition for the first Buttons TV commercial that we shot down there at the Meridian, which is now Sandals. And that's how I met Charlie back in 85?
Boy.
And so we have had a long-standing relationship from that time. His mother bought him the Buttons for his first tuxedo. There was Charlie.
Now, let me tell you a joke, okay? When you see the intro to this show, right, I have a butler who comes on and hands me a drink every show. And that tuxedo is a buttons formal wear tuxedo from men.
So you're trying to say you never returned a tuxedo?
No, I bought it.
He bought it.
But that's how good those tuxedos were.
Okay, just checking.
I bought that tuxedo, and that's still lasting because I bought that one. You know, I didn't rent that. My mom said, you know, you need a tuxedo, and we bought it. And to this day, when you see the intro, you'll see the.
And Charlie had hair, Marcellus. He had hair.
Yeah.
Boy, I had some. Oh Lord, don't stop me crying about that now. Anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to a commercial break. We'll show some clips from the locker room, and then we'll be back to talk foolishness with my buddies here. All right, Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back. The Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back.
How does it feel being Michael Thompson's little brother?
Well, I'm no longer Michael Thompson's little brother. I was known as that for a long time. Now I'm Klay Thompson's uncle.
I was getting to Klay in a minute. What is like? Have you had a chance to spank those boys when they were growing up?
I'll tell you a quick story. I remember visiting my brother when he was living in Portland at the time. And I went over to his house, and Michael was always talking about Mikey and how Mikey could shoot, and Mikey was this and that. And Mikey was 14, Klay was 12. And I remember going in the backyard, and he had a hoop in the backyard, and I shot around and played a little bit with Mikey. And Mikey's a good player. You know, Mikey had a cup of coffee in the NBA with the Cleveland Cavaliers and played in the D League. And then I remember I went and I played with Klay. Klay hit 3 3-pointers in a row, and I thought, yeah, that's luck. Yeah, I said, now I'm going to guard you. So I guarded him, and he hit another 3 in a row. And he's 12 years old at this time. I remember walking inside the house and going, I don't know about Mikey, man, but that boy Klay, he's got something special.
Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show, and I'm here with Marcellus Hall and Tommy Stubbs, the guys from the locker room. So this, you know, like I said, the locker room has exposed me to some Bahamians out there doing fantastic around the world. Not only do you all keep on top of the sports happening in the Bahamas, but also Bahamians making waves around the world. And that's why I want to ask you all a question. And I guess it's tough because there's so many people out there, but yes, some of the Bahamians that have just made an impact around the world. I mean, I have a few here, you know, all the way from Elijah Obed, you know, obviously Michael Thompson, who now, you know, spawned the great Klay Thompson. And then even Andy, who didn't play, but, you know, on the other end of sports, Andy Thompson, who was the executive producer of The Last Dance. But I have people like Andre Rogers, of course, all the Golden Girls, Debbie and Chandra, Eldise, and, you know, people like Frank Rutherford, Mark Knowles in tennis, Cecil Cook in sailing. I mean, we have Bahamians in all aspects. Are there people that y'all could think of? You know, Pauline Davis, Laverne Eve, Chris Brown, the Golden Boys, as well as the Golden Girls, Jackie Edwards, Shawnee Miller, Rick Fox, Buddy Hield, Kimbo Slice, DeAndre Ayton. I mean, the list goes on. We got a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about it. When you think about it, we got Jonquel Jones, who plays in the WNBA. Not only plays there because we've had Waltia Roll, who was the first WNBA player, but when you add in Jonquel Jones, who was the most improved player, was the sixth Woman of the Year award, was an All-Star, made it to the playoffs, all these different things. You know, we have had a literal plethora of outstanding athletes in just about every discipline you can imagine. We've had a Bahamian that's done extremely well. So we've been blessed. I can't deny we've been blessed. I've been privileged to be witness to a lot of it, right. And I hope to witness a lot more. Like when even Jazz this year with Jazz Chisholm, right, you know, getting up there with the Miami Marlins, that was the first time we had a major leaguer since Antoine Richardson, and he was. You know, he was around for a while, kind of knocking around. He ended up with the Yankees, I think was his last year. Now first base coach, if I remember correctly, with the San Francisco Giants. So now seeing, you know, the baton pass to Jazz Chisholm, and hopefully he has a great career, and others are right behind him who may be getting the call up real soon. And that's just in baseball. So we have a lot of kids right now who are doing some great things, man.
Yeah.
And Charlie, I could add some more names to it. If you go through boxing, you talk about Elijah Obed, who I had the pleasure of writing an article on, a feature story back in the 70s after he retired. He didn't. He should have gotten some more accolades from the Bahamas, but it's all good. It's going to happen one day. Certainly, me and Marcellus will work hard to make sure that the Bahamian athletes, as well as the coaches and managers, get their just due. And this is why we created the show. We wanted the young people, especially, to be aware of who we are and the fact that we just didn't arrive. Okay, right. We have Adam Bristol that Marcellus didn't mention, but of course we know that Adam Bristol was part of the World Series.
Yeah, 2 World Series championships.
76. And then we're talking about Misha Major, who was on the international scene for a while all by himself. Major Payne. And then now we have Toriano Johnson. So we have a lot of Bahamas. I sort of look at the Bahamas as the feeder system for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't lie, man. For our small country, we sure got a lot. Now, I know a lot about the swimming, like y'all might not know. I used to actually be athletic. I swam for the Bahamas, and I had scholarship for swimming, and I did well. So I even remember my mentors back there swimming was Andy and Bruce Knowles. They went to the Olympics.
Wait, hold on. They had a pony leg swimming team?
Oh Lord! Hey, if the sports thing don't wake up, you can go on the
comedy,
comedy tour.
Marcellus did a lot of coverage for swimming, so he's.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched Ariana and Jeremy Knowles. You mentioned Andy, but I watched Jeremy Knowles and all those guys. But I watched Ariana in particular. She was in the early stages of Carifta, and I said, man, this young lady's got a lot of talent. There was a point where this is when we were getting pounded. We still get pounded a little bit in track and field in Carifta. So let me tell you, I got so disgruntled having to cover us getting, pounded by Jamaica every year. I said, listen, why don't y'all send me to swimming? So I went to swimming, and I did that for 7 straight years. And obviously we were much better in the swimming category at Carifta. And so it was a great pleasure watching those young swimmers just come up and do so well. You had the Lightman sisters and what's it, Ariel Weish and all, many of them that really did great in swimming aspects. And now we have the Michaela Lightburns and a lot of them who are coming up now who are actually potential Olympic hopefuls. So, we have, we've come a long way in every sport. And I love to see the progression every year as these athletes get more and more exposure, what they're able to accomplish.
Yeah. Marcellus, don't forget volleyball. What's the Ferguson of the young man?
You got, Eugene Ferguson, I think is his name. And he's not the first one. We have Byron Ferguson, who already plays, professionally as well. So we have a couple of volleyball players who are on the European circuit who are doing well there. So like I said, there isn't really a major discipline where we don't have somebody that's doing, I think maybe the only one might be soccer at this point in time. We had guys who were playing at little small leagues before this, talking about Happy Hall and other people like that who did right on the professional scene. So we've had a lot of them.
And you're talking about soccer. We're gonna get there though, because we have the beach soccer team, and they're starting. We had the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup like 2 years ago, and that was fantastic. It opened the Bahamas up to soccer and beach soccer. Hopefully, soccer.
Leslie Jean and all those guys.
Yes. So hopefully soon we'll be seeing them, and I'll tell you quickly, all those swimmers you're talking about, I used to swim with their parents, but people like Sean Nottage and David Morley, they went on to the Olympics, and I'll tell you, I was supposed to go to the Olympics, but what happened was that year, I made it on a relay team for breaststroke. I was the best breaststroker, but that year was the year that they were going to Moscow, and America boycotted the Olympics, so the Bahamas followed suit. So the Bahamas didn't go through. What we'll do is we'll go to commercial break. We'll show some clips from the locker room, and then we'll be back with the Charlie Bahama Show.
And here it is. History has told the story in 2000. Here's what it is, and I can tell you, I can still remember the euphoria of this thing, seeing it happen, transitioning right before my eyes. And by the way, next week we'll have one of the Golden Girls in the studio with us, and that will be Pauline Davis-Thompson, who ran, I think, one of the legs here. She ran the second, or it was the first leg, and just an outstanding performance. I can't say enough about this. Remember that national anthem being played in that stadium in Sydney, Australia, one of the greatest moments of my life, one of my greatest career moments, certainly, and one of my greatest moments as a Bahamian, Tommy.
Yes, I got to meet Debbie Ferguson when Buttons Farmer were hosted the Olympic team returned to Nassau. And Debbie, it was so exciting. She said, when Salvatierra took off, she got so nervous. She felt that failure was not going to be an option. She knew that Marion Jones and the Jamaican Marilyn Orty, they weren't going to catch her. She said that no way she was coming back home to face the Bahamian people if she got run down.
The Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show, and I'm here with Marcellus Hall and Tommy Stubbs, the guys from the Locker Room, that amazing sports show. And we were talking before the break about all these amazing Bahamian athletes that are making it on the international scene. But you also said your show is expanding more now, also including coaches. So tell me a little bit about, anybody else that you think we need to mention, but also the coaching and other aspects of the locker room.
Well, we have Division I coaches. Let's start with basketball. On the female side, we have Yolette McEwing. If you're wondering about the McPhee name, yes, it is Moon McPhee's daughter, who was a long-time coach in Freeport, Grand Bahama. She has now transitioned over into being a Division I coach. And then if you look at, I think Chris Brown has now just recently took on a coaching job as a track coach. We have a lot of them in track and field. There's others in basketball, either assistant coaches. We had a guy on the other day that was on one of our shows that was an assistant coach at a university in Florida. So Embry Riddle. So when you think about it, we are breaking into a lot of different stratospheres in terms of what we're able to do. And a lot of those talent and talking about coaches and as well as athletes come out of the family house. And it's surprising because you would think that because we have so many people here and everything's always Nassau centric, right, that's where all the athletes come from. But think about this. Two of our top basketball players, that being Buddy Hield and Jonquil Jones, both Grand Bahama natives, right? Stephen Gardner is from a little place, in Abaco, Mose Island. He's from there. So, when we able to tap into our resources and get these athletes the exposure and the ability to train and practice at a higher level, I mean, the sky's the limit. We've seen it. Yeah.
And talking about the out islands, I saw on your show, that's what I'm saying. I learned a lot from your show. Exuma, Mr. Myron Roll, not only a fantastic ex-football player, but
Atari boy.
a smart, what is he, a neurosurgeon now? He is
a neurosurgeon. That's right.
He was
the recipient of the Rhodes Scholarship, which is, if anybody knows that's a tough thing to get. You got to be academically, off the chain, as the other people say, And he not only did that, but, also had a chance to play professional football on top of that. So, when you think about it, man, Myron has always impressed me and being able to do it from such humble beginnings and remain humble on top of that. Because, sometimes people, things go to their head and they think they're, superior to everybody else. No, it's never been that way with him. He's always been humble. I find that to be the case with Shawnee Miller-Weibo. That's just how I think they approach it. The same thing with Jazz Chisholm. All these guys who have made it on the big stage have remained humbled. Even Buddy Hield. I just did. It's funny. We did a game with Buddy, and we were interviewing Buddy after the game, and it was myself and a couple other reporters from the Bahamas, and he says, "You guys ate?" And we said, "No." He said, "Man, we got tons of food here. There's all this Chipotle and all this other stuff." He said, "Help yourselves, get full. Let me know if you did anything." So that's the type of guy he is.
He Bahamian, he expect you got foil with you too now, Because Bahamians, we got a tote too, No, but I think also Bahamians realize, because us Bahamians, when celebrities come to the Bahamas, we don't check much. So they know, all you be like, well, you better shut up, boy,
Who do you think you is?
Who do you think you is?
Hey, Charlie, it brings me back to baseball. Wenty Ford also played for the Atlanta Braves, another Bahamian part of the Ford family. And one of the biggest arguments we tend to have around in the sports arena is who is the greatest Bahamian athlete all around? And which family is the greatest family that produced the most players? So you have the Ford family, and you have the Rogers family, and you have the Thompson family. So we always argue from the standpoint that you're talking about as an athlete overall, or you're talking only from the international scene, because some great athletes never make it on the big stage in professional ranks. Right. So I don't want people to take for granted because you didn't play professionally. That didn't mean that you weren't great. Right. Because Eddie Ford is one of the greatest athletes we have ever had. And you're talking about multi-sport.
Yeah, he was great in basketball, was great in baseball.
Basketball. Eddie Ford scored 100 points in a basketball game. And still these young people today do not know that happened in Nassau. And another thing too, when you look at the attendance, Charlie, you go to a game, maybe once in a while, maybe at softball, fast pitch, or high school basketball, you might see a packed gymnasium or a packed field.
That now leads me to tell the associations, you got to pick up your product. People are not just going to come just because you have it anymore. You got to show them and let them see what you have to offer.
One more thing, Charlie. Like Marcellus said, we created the show in order to give our country and our athletes exposure. So for those persons out there, come and check us out. Send us your information. Let us know where you are, where your relatives are, because we can't cover everybody. We don't know everything, but soon we will.
All right. Well, listen, you guys, you take care, be safe, and I'll be watching, all right?
Okay, Charlie, let's get some Rogaine. Let's get some Rogaine, Charlie. Me and you.
All right, buddy.
I didn't even know Bahamians had RVs. This is crazy.
All right, y'all. Y'all take care, all right?
All right, my friend.
Don't get no flat tire. Don't get a flat tire out there. You're in trouble.
All right, more of the Charlie Bahama Show right after this.
Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show.
Follow Charlie Bahama on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to charliebahama.com. Well, that was another fantastic Charlie Bahama show. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means so much to us that you watch our show and support us. And man, the locker room was fantastic, and all those fantastic Bahamians out there all around the world and in the Bahamas doing fantastic things for the Bahamas. So that really means a lot to us. So until next week, you can catch us on charliebahama.com or on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those things at Charlie Bahama. All right? Stay safe, wear your mask, and until next week. Bye.
Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show.